one of the most important things whenever doing a sculpture like this is reference, and this is a really good one to do it of because there's a plenty of reference of the original statue. But as I'm collecting reference, I realize it's kind of incomplete because most of the photographs are from the front because the back is to the wall whenever you see it in the museum. And I did find one back photo of it, and you can see it's incomplete, but that's not going to be a big issue. I can fill in the blanks. But the problem is these side views and these front views aren't enough. But luckily, there's enough reference on famous sculptures like this where you can get a scan, and I was lucky enough to find a scan online. And I captured orthographic views, and I'm using that as reference. And just having a top view and the bottom view really help out, and having a strict side view, not like a 3/4 angle or 45 degrees or whatever, but having a strict left, right, front, back really helps you with this. And that's the easy thing about doing a sculpture like this, is a lot of the references out there for you, and especially if you have a scan. That image you see in the beginning of this video where there's a sculpture of Schwarzenegger, that is extremely difficult. I'd say that's more difficult than this because I had to gather reference from every conceivable angle that related to that. There's no moment in time where that pose was taken as a scan from every angle or photograph from every angle. There are angles of it from the front and the back, but a lot of the angles are missing, like the top, the bottom, and you got to fill in the blanks. And this seems like it's more difficult because this is a famous sculpture and you got to do justice to it. But I'm just saying in execution, it's not as difficult. But that said, the gesture on this is extremely important. In fact, I'd say it's more important to the anatomy. I'll get to the anatomy and the clothing, but the gesture on this, and it's so fortunate to have a scan where I could get a front, side, top, bottom view, etc. And by the way, I don't use the scan as reference as far as tracing. I don't import it into ZBrush and try to line up the shoulders. That would be defeating the purpose for this particular exercise. I can get likenesses fairly easy, and it always seemed like a hindrance to make your model transparent, then align it directly over something, then pull points to get the eyes. That didn't seem like the most efficient way for me personally. So this model is never going to align perfectly with the shoulders lining up in the right place with the original, but it'll look like the original when I'm done. And the original was sculpted in, I think it was 1513 to 1516. It was commissioned by Pope Julius II, and Michelangelo had so many commissions by the Pope, so many other things going on, that the final version of this wasn't released to the public for I think decades after it was done. And one of the first things you notice as you're examining the original sculpture is that it has horns on its head. And there was a translation of the Bible from Hebrew to Latin where there was a specific word that could be translated as either grow horns or radiating or something like that. And they went with grow horns for whatever reason. And a lot of these Moses sculptures from that time period or drawings represented Moses with horns. But a lot of this reference really saved me, because from the front you can tell the gesture to a certain degree, or you think you can, but when I saw some of these orthographic views from the side, there's such a hump to the back, not an unnatural hump, but it kind of peaks out in the mid-back, and it goes back much farther than I would have expected. And I don't think I would have incorporated that unless I had seen the original. And the original works. There's an extreme bow to the back, and it just drives home how much good gestures add to the piece. Because sometimes in your mind you want to convey a certain pose a certain way, but an extreme version of that might sell it more. So I'm still working on this. After I get the gesture the way I want, I'll work on the anatomy and the rest of it.